Words matter.
Whenever we hear cynical artists, we should keep that in mind that they're going through a lot of pain themselves because they might feel inadequate.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's what happened to Weldon. All that happened to Weldon.
Yeah. Why tell the story of Weldon Irvine?
I'm gonna give you the answer, and I don't really give too often. I don't know. I give it. So, and once in a while, I choose an interview. I'm like, I'm gonna give it up. So, so that means y'all gotta actually watch some other interviews to get another type of story. But this is the story I'm gonna tell. I have 5 friends that died by suicide.
Right? I saw that on your Sway in the Morning interview. Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, 4, 5, 6. I don't even know anymore. Right? Well, there's 6 now, but there's 5 during the thing. That was why. That was like that. That's why the story sunk into me, right? Because that happened. But I guess also other side was like I've also worked in music business, right? And I've also been a part of some pretty good things, but been forgotten about or been silenced or whatever, right? And so I get the picture that he felt like, damn, like I'm responsible for so many great things. You don't even know my name. You don't even know, nobody knows who I am.
Yeah.
Writing, as you've seen, writing my name out of credits. Like, this is wow. I did so much. And I can get that. So can, a high school coach, right? Or a trainer. Tell me, we know, let's say, I'm going to use Melo, I don't know. Say Melo got elbow injury, arm injury, whatever. And, waiting for him to come back, right? Or waiting for A-Rod. Well, I don't know. Maybe A-Rod's out there. Waiting for your favorite athlete to come back, from injury. Give a fuck about that doctor's name or trainer's name. Fuck about all that shit. When he coming back? Metal back. That's just what it is. So you might know a college coach if it's Coach K, but most of the coaches, your favorite, NBA player or MLB player, you don't know people's name. And they did so much to get them there, right? Mm-hmm. And teachers, therapists, right? We look at, let's say like Kendrick just dropped
The Heart, Part 5.
Right. Yeah. And we say Kendrick is a genius. I don't know if he is, right? I don't know who on the team said you'll do that.
Yeah.
Could have been him.
Gave him the idea, the inspiration.
I don't know. I just don't know because you just don't never know. Look at Beyonce. She did it, blah, blah, blah. But you have to like dig deep to find out. Now the artist does have to be visionary in order to say yes. And watch how I do that. I'm about to add on to that, right? But being a part of artist careers on a smaller or an intermediate level, I understand that you just don't know the process, and we all give it to the artist, right? And there's no vocalist that doesn't have a team, right?
Or we give it to the performer,
right? Well, that's what I meant.
Yeah.
So yeah, exactly. So because they're all artists, right? We get to the performer. That's actually a very good nuance. The whole team are artists, right? Down to the manager, we give it to the performer. And, it just goes across the board. We only care about what we see, who we see, and what we enjoy. And so that lack of appreciation, I get that, right? I get it for myself, but I get it for people I see, around. And so when I found that this might have driven, in some part, this person into deep depression, I was like, yeah, I'm gonna tell that story.
Yeah.
And I thought it would be an easy story to tell. I thought I'd do it in 4 months. I didn't know it would take me a long time.
Yeah.
But it did.
Now that you've created a documentary and you've released it and you've done all your research on Weldon, what are the similarities that you see between you and him? Because, you said you could relate a little bit to not maybe feeling appreciated for things that you've done creatively and not getting the credit that, the same way how Weldon didn't feel, or he didn't get the credit that he deserved for a lot of things.
So outside of some stuff like that, but actually he was introduced to me, as my friend G. Clef said, I reminded him of Weldon Irvine. I had no idea who that was at the time. So there are some similarities. The original direction of the film was to find myself through searching for him. So there are ways. There is the. I was looking through his stuff the other day. I have a lot of his stuff, and he typed out this long report on someone owing him money from like June 10th. John said this, that, like the whole every convo.
Wow.
Man, I would do that shit. I would definitely do that shit. I think I may have done that shit. Like the whole thing. And I don't know, so I don't know what, I don't know if I want to call that what that is, but he's someone that when he's wronged, because in the report, he also he gave mad chances, right? And then he also was like, "Yo, I'm late on this. I had to borrow money because I ain't get my money from this thing, whatever." So with that, it's like I see that he was wronged, but he still had grace, right? But he was still stern, but he had grace, and he never let it go.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, okay, that's me. Other folks would have just wrote it off. But yeah, he needed to have his thoughts clearly written down, and that's like me. So many thoughts enter the head. Gotta like write down my thoughts during times of stress.
Yeah.
Just so I can use them, one day, just so I don't feel like
you can confront the situation,
right, and then confirm the reality for myself. Because all these things happen, I need to make sure I know what happened, because this person might just like throw me off with a lie or a gaslight, and now I think I owe them money or whatever, or now I'm apologizing them for, So that's something I saw the other day, like, dag, this guy, how he was just so intensely in love with what was right. And that isn't a good thing, right? It's not a good thing. But we spend a lot of time thinking that's a good thing, but there is no fucking right. What the fuck is right? Right? No right. There's no right. You know what I mean? Like, there's that. And when I say that, there's no absolute right. Right? That there's this perspective, and there's a common agreements in society, but to be so loving what's right, it's not good in a world like this, because it can take you out. You start getting ulcers and cancers and because why isn't anyone doing what I think is right?
Yeah. It's kind of unrealistic.
Not realistic.
Yeah.
You got to balance that out. You do what you think is right is what,
Yeah.
And then if you have mentees, which he did, and you just teach on. Yeah.
2 years ago in an interview with Kevin.
One thing else, and he loved a knife. I used to love a knife. All right, go ahead.
It's 2 years ago. You did an interview with journalist Kevin Legendry. I think I butchered his last name.
Well, I don't know.
Yeah,
Kevin Legendry.
Yeah. And you were speaking a little bit about things that I.
You saw that?
Yeah, I saw. I watched that.
That's dope. Do research. That's dope.
Yeah, of course.
Well, fresh, not dope. It's fresh.
Yeah. So yeah, you in that interview, you said that when your friend told you that you remind him of Weldon. You didn't know who Weldon was, and you weren't an avid listener of jazz or Black American music. How do you approach creating a documentary chronicling the life of a musician of a genre that you don't listen to?
Didn't. Now I'm more jazz. I'm jazz man right now.
Yeah.
I felt like, and I still feel like if I knew jazz or knew Weldon, it would have been a totally different documentary. But I was really inquisitive. I didn't know anything. And I had my friend Angelica Beener, who she's in the lineage of Thelonious Monk and Oliver Beener and T.S. Monk. She's a journalist, a writer, and she really helped me, along with my man G Clef, helped me understand certain concepts with jazz. And because I was digging so deep into what this music was, and I had to know, because we were trying to frame him as a founder of jazz fusion.
Yeah.
And I had no idea what that meant. And so when I do interviews, I ask questions that pull out things that were very important. Like when I interviewed Q-Tip, and he's like, Weldon taught me music theory. What the fuck is that?
Yeah.
You know, what's that? And so I was like, when you say music, what do you mean? And he was like, started telling me, we started using his hands, like, you know, this, that, whatever. And that's like a golden moment, because like I'm using his hands, and you know, that looks cool. And the things he said as well, I would never have had that if I didn't ask that question, that basic question that he was gonna blast right past. Also, I don't watch documentaries. I've watched some documentaries, but that's not really my vibe. Right?
Yeah.
Maybe now more, a little bit more. But usually not when I'm making a documentary, because sometimes that throws me off my thing.
Yeah.
So, and you know, if I'll leave that alone. But you know, I needed to make a documentary for people who don't watch documentaries. So like when I was working with Screen Design Publishing, when we had like How to Hustle and Win, and all most of the books, right, were written by Supreme to be read by people who don't like to read.
Yeah.
And that's the same concept. It's like, all right, I need to make sure people who don't watch documentaries would like this film. And that was why it was so elementary, and that's why, you know, I think that me not knowing anything whatsoever just made it good, because people who were entry level with me could still enjoy the film. You don't have to like jazz to like digging for Weldon Irvine.
Yeah.
But you might peep into jazz afterwards. So I wanted people to go on that ride with me. So on paper, I was the worst person for the job, you know what I mean? But in reality, I was the best. Doing a documentary on something you know everything about may not serve the world, because you're just gonna miss the key things.
Yeah.
It's the intricate nature of the subject. It should be an inquisitive. Well, for me, it should be an inquisitive journey, and not like a know-it-all.
Yeah.
And you have like an instructional thing, and you know we're not here for that.
You know, Weldon experienced a lot of loneliness and abandonment issues from not getting the credit he deserved in the music business. How do we prevent another tragedy like that of Weldon Irvine?
I will say, in order to put ourselves in the best position to help someone, is we have to read between the lines. We have to, they say, check in on our strong friends. I like to believe we don't have any strong friends, right? And so just knowing that, right, we have no strong friends. That strong friend is a myth. And I think that if we do our best to combat the stigma when we see it, right, of suicide, and we see that, oh, that person is selfish and it's not that bad, you know.
Yeah.
Or if we can combat that when we see it in personal discussion, especially on social media, we can create more environments that people can see these things. Now be like, well, damn, I can't go to the gym because Jim done said, you know, I'm a coward. I ain't blow my brains out yet, and I'm already a coward, you know. So we create environment and allow environment every day that people who are going through pain can see, oh, well, I see how my cousin feels about this. Can't go to him anymore. I thought that, you know, he was, understanding. I see
Yeah.
that post, or I see that she, so the more that we can present ourselves as people who someone can talk to about these things, I think that we can provide our friends going through things with more lifelines.
Yeah.
And we could all individually get help. We could all individually suggest that all of our friends get help. Right? Therapy is not a failure. Therapy is not something that you should only do if you're going through something.
Yeah.
Because we're always going through something, right? And it doesn't put you in the best situation if you only go when you can't take anything, like destroy the camel's back. You should still go, but it's good to go even in times of peace if you can afford it, right? Different forms of therapy. So I think today's answer is just help create that environment, end the stigma, stop using certain terms. Right?
Yeah.
So we don't like to say commit suicide. Right? We don't want to criminalize, though it was illegal once upon a time, right? We don't want to criminalize people who die by suicide.
Wait, sorry. How is it illegal to commit suicide if you?
Well, no, if you get caught attempted suicide, you would go to jail.
Wow.
Right. I knew that from a kid. That just changed. I say just maybe a couple decades, but that just changed. I remember as a kid thinking like, that's not nice. It's like obviously I'm messed up. But yeah, if it was illegal to try to the term was commit suicide, right? The term was kill yourself. Because I mean, a lot of our laws are based upon religious morals, right?
Yeah.
And so religiously, it's supposed to be the worst thing to do. So kill yourself and things like that is terms we try not to use, or we don't use because it doesn't show compassion to the person. People who've dealt with deep depression know that it's more than a deep sadness, a deep depression. The depression is one that killed you, right? It took you out. It's not situational where it's like, oh, I'm really sad about what happened today, right? Depression can feel like nothing.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is. It's nothing attacking me. I don't know what, right? And so the more we just understand and have compassion for people who are feeling this way, I think the more people will think that there are people they can speak to. But again, I do believe that therapy is for all. Therapy should be free for all.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that therapy is end all be all. However, these are ways that we can curtail this the suicide problem that we have. We have it a lot in children in our community.
Yeah.
Poor children, black and brown children. So we know and understand that adults who die by suicide were children and teens and young adults who thought about suicide, just ain't do it. Like the sister, I think her name is Lana. She said, I've been battling with this since I was younger. Or Weldon, Weldon Irvine, which is I don't believe was in the film, was not in the film, that he had his mother was worried about him dying by suicide, his mother was institutionalized. She attempted suicide before and she died by suicide, and so she, in her medical records, she told her doctor that she worried about her son. But then you hear things like, Weldon was death-defying, he was courageous, and Weldon used to jump off. I heard this in the film. I'm recording people's interviews. He used to jump off the roof. And he was like, Weldon's so crazy. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? You're not using it crazy, but that's what they would say, right? And it's like things that they're saying, I like to call the hood. We have people who just like, yo, son just don't give a fuck. And he just, yeah, he's trying to die. You know what I'm saying? Like it's a thing called suicide by proxy, which is another religious thing where you have the church said it's illegal to die by suicide. So what someone would do if they had money, right? They pay someone to kill them, and before they get killed, they repent, do their last thing, whatever, and then the killer can repent because he can't repent for suicide, right? So how religious went, right? So it's like a victimless. It's really weird how they thought about things, right? But this is like an age of the Renaissance, whatever.
Yeah.
It's like, well, I pay you to kill me, and so I'm cool. I repent. You to kill me, you repent. And so the whole thing, suicide by proxy, is that I've been one of them, bro. You know what I'm saying? It's like doing things I did not have to do. Doing things that I remember at one point I'm like, yo, why? I wonder why no one killed me. Like, you know what I'm saying? And cocky about it. And that point of time, but like, yo, no one, like, but not knowing what I was really saying, but knowing that I did this, that, and the third, whatever, purposely. Oh, I'm throwing I remember I was in Panama getting a medallion for my chain. And I was getting it made.
Yeah.
I was with my aunt. And she's like, Ross, that's too big. I remember I was like, nah, make it bigger. Because, it's like I want somebody gonna kill me for. What we want?
Was it like the 90s or something?
No. It was 2002, 3, I don't know.
Yeah.
Now I had no nice chain in the 90s. Smaller chain. Nice but not big. Anyway. But I want, it's like I want something that somebody gonna kill me for. Somebody gonna try to kill me for, so I can not be killed by it and prove that I had something that someone would kill me for. I went everywhere with it, never tucked it in. I know I have here this thing that I could get murdered for, right? That's what happens when you have warriors, but ain't no war, right? Or there's no clear and defined war where you can show and prove your bravery. But it also happens when someone wants to die, right? But I ain't going. Yeah, the term suicide by cop. Half the time cops be lying. More than half the time they be lying. But that's a real thing, right? Because I used to, well, I ain't going into me. But, there's not in that essence though, but there's a thing where there are people who want to die, but they don't want to do it themselves. Suicide by proxy. So when we start to see, see with that scope, that some of these folk that we know that do all these death-defying things look closer into that they may not be antisocial because they want to harm others, is because they want to cause a scenario where they themselves will be harmed. So these are ways that we can check it out. But again, we can't. I don't think that we can speak the language of us preventing it, but we can make this a different society where we can be more watchful,
yeah,
and we can be more helpful to ourselves, right?
Yeah. At one point, Weldon was Nina Simone's organist, band leader, arranger, and road manager. He was appointed by Simone to compose "To Be Young, Gifted, and Black." We spoke about that a little bit earlier. Mm-hmm. Named after Lorraine Hansberry's play of the same name. After Nina fired him, she didn't credit him on the pressing of "To Be Young, Gifted, and Black." Do you think that Irvine's embrace of hip hop, to where he even taught Q-Tip musical theory, is him giving opportunities and embracing the youth in a way that he was never embraced in his career?
100%. I want to say that Miss Simone, I would say that she wasn't directly responsible, for that. Though she was, the term I think I heard uses, wrote him considerably out of her autobiography. So there was some parts where she might not have said his name. She could have said his name, but as far as the credits missing and everything, 100%. Weldon had a mentor named Horace Silver, who mentored him from high school on. And Weldon, a lot of his mentees, he went to LaGuardia High School to find people to play in his band, right? And so he always was looking at the youth. He also wanted to live forever, right? And he also wanted to be a part of everything that was living, and he also wanted to reach the youth, because youth is the future. He knew that. I mean, everybody knew that, and he knew that hip hop was just another form of jazz. He saw himself as one of the forefathers of hip hop as well, and so, he saw himself also as a poet and a writer. And so when it came time for him to be with people who appreciated his music like never before, can remember, like, he didn't sell a lot of records. So here are people that appreciate my music. They're making money off my music. I'm about to make some money off of them too, and they're listening to me, and they want to actually learn how to play the keys. You know, why wouldn't he? And then he started to rap himself because he wanted to express himself in the way that people express themselves in the present, not necessarily just the past. But he could do it all, and he saw it all as black music. He didn't really like to say R&B versus soul versus jazz. He says all black music, and he could trace it back to Africa. Is how he would term it, you know. But he definitely was always about the young. Like someone said in one of my interviews, he said that if Weldon was alive tonight, he'd be hollering at Drake. Like, hey Drake, man, I know your aunt, you know, or I know your uncle, you know.
Larry Graham.
Right, I know your uncle. We played together, yada yada, you know. And he was a person of the youth of the times.
Mm-hmm. You know, Weldon he's credited for going the independent route and selling his music out of his car, and even forming his own publishing company. Even had his life threatened over it by, you know, people of the underworld. You don't know how the music business was back then. Do you think that if he was a bigger artist at the time, he would get the same credit that someone like Master P now receives for understanding the importance of ownership?
If he was bigger, yeah. If he was bigger, yeah. But you know, it's funny. I did an interview a couple of days ago, and Master P was mentioned as well. And there's Tony Draper, Swap House.
Yep.
Right? So there's always gonna be the name. It's like, oh yeah, but him though, because if Swap House was bigger, would you be saying his name instead? So yeah, so definitely, you know, definitely if his name was bigger, people would credit that to him. But how could his name be bigger if he's doing it himself, right? So he also, let's be clear, Weldon made his bet.
Yeah.
Weldon didn't want to have no manager, right? He didn't trust managers. He was his own manager. Weldon didn't want to play the game anymore, you know? And so you get what you get. You're not playing the game. You're going to play the game or not. What we doing? And so I'm sensitive to his choice because he felt like he got, you know, forced into that. But you also have to stand by your decisions, right? I chose to be political. I chose to do the things that I did, and this is the consequence. I'm not going to be, you know, known greatly as a performer. I'm not going to make $1 million off of, you know, my art. And he stopped doing it for a long time, you know, music. He went into plays, and then he got into hip hop. Was like his rejuvenation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he thought he was blackballed though. Could have been. Who knows?
Yeah.
They say no. They say they didn't blackball him. Got interviewed, not in the film. I interviewed his A&R and VP of marketing at RCA. It's like, nah, I didn't blackball him.
But why would they say that if they did?
Yeah, you know. They also said that no one. He said that no one gets blackballed. Like, all right.
Come on now.
You know what he said? You know, so let me be fair. This gentleman said that only time I've seen people get blackballed, it came from within their own team. That's what he really said. That's what he really said.
But I mean, it was, you did document how, you know, the label, it basically seemed as if the label signed him just so that they can stop him from putting his music out independently. So it's like it was a strategic signing to systematically blackball him.
Right.
So,
you know, that was a good part, right?
Yeah.
Like, whoa, you just made the film.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I don't know if that's true. Could be true. But I don't know. I think that the label saw the potential at the beginning, and then he just wasn't willing to play ball. But again, like Bob Shulman said in the film, like, yeah, like it definitely it also can ring true that there are people who didn't like the message, was like, let's just sign him and then not push him.
Yeah.
But it's more so, I would think, not about the music, because there wasn't lyrics in the music.
Yeah.
For the most part. But I think it was just about him.
Mm-hmm.
We don't like him.
Yeah.
He's always coming in here, manager. I told y'all deal with him. He's always talking some wild out stuff. He's telling everybody to get their own publishing. So that was a big thing. His own publishing. They still don't like that to this day.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But he owned his masters, he owned his publishing. So I think that he was bucking the status quo, and that would cause them as well to silence him. But I don't know if it was strictly the music that he was pushing out, or so they would have signed the Last Poets if they could.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, I guess, if the music has a revolutionary message, but the person behind it is more diplomatic, I guess, then they can have a little bit more success.
Right.
So yeah, I guess it's kind of, it's not proof. You can't prove it, of course.
Right. Well,
yeah, or maybe you can.
I got there's so much. I did so many hours of interviews, so I'm working on a book of it's a lot of the interviews. Cause I'm sure the proof is in there somewhere.
Yeah.
He got a lot of stuff though. The proof is in there somewhere. We're gonna figure it out.
Yeah.
The sinister plot. You look at the Nina Simone thing too. I mean, people didn't like her, and this was Nina's guy at a certain point. So, one guy left the label because of Nina Simone, and after she fired him, it's like, you still here? Like, you here because we know you from her.
Yeah.
You don't like her. We had to deal with you before, but now you here. Yo, what you doing? You still doing here?
Yeah.
Your A&R who signed you, he not here. What you still doing here? You know what I'm saying? Oh, I just, we got Hall and Oates about to come right now. They about to kill it. And they white. Yo, what you still doing here? Get out of here. What? Yeah, but I'm coming out. Ain't gonna push that.
Yeah, they white. They make the same music as you, and we don't even have to deal with.
Well, all right, we gonna do this.
Hall
and Oates. Look, I ain't. Hall and Oates is bad, bro. You know what I mean? But Weldon wasn't even singing.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like in '76. Then RCA, they made record players and electronics. They didn't even care about their record label. Some would say they just started caring about their record label.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? RCA, respect. But jazz, and it's like jazz. What are you talking about? Come on. So this is so much stuff working against Weldon Irvine. Mm-hmm. It wasn't even funny. You know what I mean? It wasn't even funny. So whatever did happen, it happened, and it got him out the game by '77. Yeah, it was rough for that brother, man. That brother, like, had a lot going on, bro.
As everyone could see if they, watch the documentary.
Yeah.
Do you think that Weldon's affinity for educating came from living in the middle of Hampton University?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine being born on the campus of a HBCU.
Yeah.
I can't even imagine that. Like, being in a different world, just looking around.
Mm-hmm.
Just a different world. I'm not saying all the show, but just being around all of that. He was born on the campus. Like, the hospital was on the campus.
Yeah,
and his father being the grandfather being the dean, and then him going there. Big man on campus. Come on.
Yeah.
I live right there. That's me.
Yeah.
And he used to, ladies, man. He had a good time at Hampton. Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure.
You think he was lonely?
Yes. Around everybody, but lonely. Around everybody all the time because he was lonely. Everyone I interviewed told me how much time they spent with Weldon. Never at his house, though. And all of them would say, like, that's my best friend. And all of them would say, I don't know how we find the time. I'm like, yo, I'm 20 interviews in. I did like 45 in total, but 20 interviews in. He got 20 best friends already. He spent 10 hours a day with all of them. And don't be lying, like, it all checked out.
Yeah.
Like, yo, this dude, where he find any of the time? And that's the sad part. He didn't have the time. But he'll make sure he gave the time. There's no time for himself.
Yeah.
And maybe if he took more time for himself, he could deal with some of his issues. But a lot of it was putting in music and putting everybody else. And And then as you see in the film, he was very calculated as far as hiding how he felt.
Yeah.
So again, talking about preventative measures, some people are just so intellectually sound, and adept that they can mask their depression,
Yeah.
right? And they got a good game. They could talk, and they can do practice his face. Which as a black man, I don't know if you ever practiced your face. I practiced my face before, just like when I'm younger.
No,
like,
yeah, I could relate.
Yeah, you got to practice the face. You practice all the faces, you know what I'm saying? You got to go outside, So, and he was there teaching it. I think the sad part is he's there teaching it. Y'all should see the film before you listen to this part of the interview because y'all kind of lost. But you can see he's teaching other young men this thing, right?
Yeah.
Well, how you do it? Well, I just fake it till I make it. And he's teaching them this shit.
Yeah.
Right? And so, it's no wonder how it gets passed down to black men because you have these men is teaching this shit. And you imagine they children got it, and it's that fake, I'm not emotional, whatever thing has to stop. You dig? Like, it has to stop. Saying that women are emotional but men are not, that just got to stop.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because, where we from, the only acceptable emotion is anger. Right? You can't be happy. You be happy. They might, why you so happy, son?
Yeah.
Like, what you got? That one got. Definitely can't be sad. If Kobe died, you can be sad. Like, outside of Kobe dying, like, what we got? What black man had to be sad about? You know what I'm saying? That we could all, like, feel like,
Well, Nipsey Hussle died.
Nipsey?
Yeah.
So, like, back to back. Like, we didn't even get, like, you know what I'm saying? It's like we had, like, a year of we could just be sad. 2 years to be sad. It's wild. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I remember when Tupac died. Like, it was like you had to be thugged out. Like, we didn't get a lot of time to, like, I'm a human being, and this thing, whatever this is, affected me. You know what I mean? Even at funerals, we all usually, a lot of brothers are always outside, or a lot of time we are there to be strong, whatever that means for someone else, right?
Yeah.
For a woman or a child, but we not taking the time to be like, I don't feel good right now, until we just snap, and then that's it. That's game over.
Yeah.
We snap. Black man snap. It's like it's game over.
Yeah. And with him masking his emotions, he also was an empath, like an extreme empath, because when the World Trade Center was attacked, he felt that deeply, and people feel like that led to his demise. And also with I just watched it, I can't remember, but he was a very empathetic guy, but at the same time was guarded.
That's a good point. I never thought about him being an empath, but yeah, that's a interesting thought. I would say he definitely might have been an empath. And the interview about 9/11, that's like one of my last interviews.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't even had that tidbit. And the dude happened to be on the bus, seeing him. Watch the film if you can, because we're talking about the film. But dude be on the bus, seeing the body pass by, not knowing it's him.
Yeah.
Come on, like, you can't write that, bro.
Yeah.
But that's like one of my last interviews, and him making it so clear to this is where Weldon had, it was the 1-2 punch, the Amadou Diallo, and then the 9/11.
That's what Amadou Diallo I was gonna say.
Yeah, and it's like, oh man, this world is nuts. I tried it. This world is just going to hell. Look, I tried. What's going on? And then I was able to find an interview with him talking about that. So now we have that piece, which helped me, right? And this is, again, another way how I'm like Weldon, when we know that in the beginning of his life, his grandmother said that whenever he would get mad, he'd go and play the piano, right? So we have established that, like me, the creation of music was a way for him to, translate his feelings and ease him or whatever it is, right? And it made him prolific. But then when 9/11 happened, he said he had problems creating. So you have someone, his soul, knock on wood, it's not my soul, because I don't know what we'll do, but his soul way to be okay is to create music. And this man had over 500 songs that he created, and that's taken away.
Yeah.
What I'm gonna do now? What I'm gonna do now? I don't know. You know, can't let you know. You look up to me. I can't even tell you about this, but I can't even create. But no one caught that. They just like, oh man, can't create. Oh, you know, maybe you need inspiration or what inspires you. So we missed that. So when we look at artists today and it's like, dang, no album for 5 years or no da da da.
Yeah.
Sometimes that could be the label. But sometimes we gotta look closer and be like, yo, what's going on here?
Mm-hmm.
Because when we talk about we need inspiration, it don't just be inspiration to create music. It be inspiration to live. Music is life, right? But if we hear artists not inspired, what is that? What does that really mean? Not inspired to do what? And you know, we ask further. Sometimes people don't like us asking further, but sometimes I think you have to ask further.
Yeah. Are there any modern artists whose story you can liken to that of Weldon Irvine? No.
Like now, alive now.
Or yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess alive
I'm
now.
not cursing them if I do that. I ain't say that, but
Okay.
let me see. Outside of the suicide, I don't know. I've thought about it. I mean, I have people that come to my head,
Yeah.
but it would take a deep analysis.
Yeah.
I don't got it, but you
Yeah.
know, I think of for some reason Lil Bibby, some strange reason I don't know.
Lil Bibby?
Yeah, I don't know. I think Lil Bibby, you know, and only because the pain aspect. Lil Bibby.
Because Juice WRLD's his artist and
Nah, just Lil Bibby.
Oh.
Just like him as his own person, like just the pain
Yeah.
that I get from Lil Bibby when he was rapping.
Yeah.
I'm a fan. I'm sorry. He's come to mind like that guy got a whole lot of fucking pain in him.
Yeah.
And in the Juice World, that would add a whole lot more, but just him. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I don't know which one of us isn't Weldon Irvine. You know, he wasn't like a unique case, right? He's just the guy that wrote To Be Young, Gifted, and Black, you know, and he's the guy, he died at 58 years old, but I don't know, there's not a lot of Weldons walking around, you know, or in the industry or whatever, just not as accomplished.
Yeah.
And they ain't been to film yet, you know, because humbly, what would have happened if I didn't do the film, right? Like,
yeah, would people know?
Look, man, he'd been continuing to be sampled. I know that, right? I know when I first started the film, and when I searched online, I didn't find a lot at all. You know, YouTube didn't have maybe a couple of songs, and you can, you know, people can go and look to see a lot of these things happened 4 years ago. A lot of these happened when I announced the film or the film came out. People still, you know, different reissues and things like that. So I would like to think, it's sad to me because I didn't know the dude, you know, and he knew a lot of people, and it's like, Dag, why am I the person that had to do this? So yeah, man, I don't know, brother. Like, you know, he is abandoned by his father. You know, there's a lot of things that a lot of people can relate to. You know, he had these deep abandonment issues that a lot of us have. So I don't know. I don't know. I think that the challenge is to see him in everybody today, right?
Yeah.
Think of everything and see how you can see Weldon Irvine in someone, because now he's not a man anymore. He's just a principal. You know what I mean? Like, you look at Shakir Stewart, you know, I don't pretend to know what he was dealing with, you know, but definitely someone that powered a lot of movements that people don't even know his name. But I don't suggest that was his issue, but I see that parallel. Yeah.
Yeah. You know, well, what do we need to learn from the story of Weldon Irvine?
I like to say that you need to say people's names more often.
Yeah.
That helped you get to wherever you are. That's pretty much, you know. I think that's a good thing. Just say people. It don't take much to say someone's name.
Yeah.
You know, that's it's only right. You get everything else.
Yeah.
You get the interviews with the kill and everything. Just say somebody's name.
Yeah.
I be listening. I be like, yo, they gonna say my name this time? Like, nope. They say my influence. Say, oh, I did this. I did that. But, you know, it's just like, say somebody's name. You know what I mean? Like, for real. And that's it. Like, for people in the industry to say somebody's name.
Yeah.
Not like, oh, my former manager or my friend or this, that, and the third or somebody part of my team. Say the fucking name. What's wrong with you? What you doing? Like, you know what I mean? Because, like, especially performers and stars, right? Mostly performers, mostly vocalists. Vocalists are the only profession that have a team, right? That will sacrifice their entire life for you. Drummer don't got that. Yeah. The rappers, the singers, they got that, right? You don't mind putting the drummer and the sax player or whatever in the studio, or the, you know, ain't no one as a filmmaker, you got no filmmaking team that helps you buy the stuff. That don't happen. Yeah. Unless you the vocal, you got to be the one with the mic. You know, it's interesting. You know, I can put my whole career goal on someone that has the mic, right? Yeah. Doctors don't got that. Nobody got that. Lawyers don't. Nobody got that, right? Working for free. Kill's gonna make it. You know, this what I'm. You know, to get the leavings off the table, right? So the least you can do is say their names, right? Like just say their names. When you sit in the movie theater, watch the credits. You know, watch the credits. That's why I put in this film. I hope you watch the credits. I put in this film some Easter eggs. You saw J. Cole in the film?
Yes, I did at the end.
All right, cool. So yeah, I put some Easter eggs in the credits just to like, yo, watch the credits because all of these names matter, right? And so I sit down and watch all the names because it matters, because these are people, and not just being in the business, it matters for two different reasons. But it's just like, who are we to fucking think that these names don't fucking matter? Yeah, fuck wrong with us? You know what I mean? Like, and it's gonna be our names. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just mind boggling to me that we just don't care. And I know I'm getting kind of artsy or kind of industry with it. That's just, you know, what I am. But just the names matter. The name, whoever wrote that article matter. That's why we have so less like Greg Tate's around, because we don't even care what the article, because of block culture. But you know, we don't care who wrote these things. Yeah. You know, we get it from the blog. You know, I won't say no blogs names, but so and so blog.com said this. This that.org said this, but never the name of the person who wrote the article. Like, we bugged out. We getting more bugged out year by year. And the people who are famous are allowing it to happen, because as long as they get the bag and run with it, they cool with it, right? They don't care who they sit down in front of, as long as it's the popping station or the popping block. So we come to do away with all that. So, you know, you don't let us, you know, they ain't gonna let us in. No, we gonna take what we got. But, you know, we didn't get to the HBO thing. But that's, you know, it's fine too, though.
I had a question about that. Yeah, I mean, you were one of the producers of Yusef Hawkins' Storm Over Brooklyn, and there have been so many stories similar to this case, like that of Emmett Till and Ahmaud Arbery, Trayvon Martin, the attack of the 3 black men at Howard Beach a few years prior. Some of these stories end with the white assailants being tried and convicted of their crimes, but some found not guilty or not charged at all. What was the significance of telling the story of Yusef Hawkins' murder, and the fact that his killer, Joseph Fama, was tried and convicted, but, you know, not the accomplice, Keith Mondello?
Well, Keith was convicted. This is just not for that. Yeah. He did 8 years, whatever. From what I understand, though, no one was convicted for pulling the trigger, per se. little legal nuances.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
Joey Farmer isn't there for his murder. You know,
Well, he gets
it's weird. It's weird how
Yeah.
you know, man, they get you man different ways. I you know, I don't know. What was the question? I'm sorry. I
Just,
get
you know,
shaky to talk about murder and shit.
What was the significance of?
Yeah, man,
you know-
16-year-old black boy, man. You know, I remember doing current events article on that in 6th grade, and I knew I got that message to do that film from my inbox.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like from my man Charles Darby, one of Yusef's friends, hit me up because my man Nigel from Church on 34th Street told him that I could help him do a film.
Yeah.
So very important to answer your DMs. Even the request joint, get in them joints. It might be on HBO. But it was like, oh, Yusef Hawkins? Oh, no brainer. Like, this is going to be important. I want to be a part of it.
Yeah.
That was the initial thing. I was already working on digging for Weldon Irvine. So it's like, dag, I'm ready. I think 2 years in digging for Weldon Irvine. I can't direct both.
Yeah.
Dag, and I really wanted to. I can't. Because also it would have been my first film instead of Weldon. And I knew I thought this film was too big for me to do for my first film.
Yeah.
You know. And so I said, well, I'll produce it and I'll find you a director. And so then, you know, I found Muta Ali, who I worked with before on some projects. And I wanted him to produce it, to be another producer. He said, nah, I got to direct it. I'm like, oh, makes sense. Because I wanted a director that was on his second film. And he was on his second film. And so that was that. But so the first thing was like, it's important story. It's like, it's gonna be big because it's Yusef Hawkins. It's big. And I had this unknown person, and after 2 years, I realized like, dag, this is my first joint, but this might not blow because people don't know him like that. I gotta do double the work. So that was that. On the soul level, I partially, you know, at my father's house was in Sheepshead Bay, so I understood being in those areas. Never felt comfortable. I never had no friends out there.
Yeah.
Go to my daddy's house. That's it. I'll go to the store, the same store, food stands. Well, crying, you know. But I wasn't hanging out. Next door neighbor, Marcus. That was it. I didn't feel safe. I didn't feel like I was wanted. I knew too much about the so-called mafia, which doesn't exist, and I just felt like, you know what, I'm gonna play, you know, my little games. I'm gonna, you know, play music. I ain't going outside. So I got that, you know, that a person that looked like me could be in an area like that and lose their life. Outside of being in the news, I know what that is, right? And I have friends that went to school in Bensonhurst in New Utrecht, and they had racist Italians coming at them, and the police sending them to go one way because they know that the Italians is over there. They beat them down and everything. So I was like, yo, I could relate to this story in theory, right?
So on a Brooklyn level, really.
On a Brooklyn level, but also, you know, I spent a lot of time in Toronto. I have family in Toronto, and on the outskirts of Toronto, I've dealt with skinheads before, you know, as a teen. Like, you know, I have very distinct memories of physical confrontations. Yeah. Right. Sometimes it was us, sometimes it was them. But like Doc Martens means something different to me. Like Doc Martens is like, nah, those get ahead. So, you know, I've been through that, right? That's part of the trauma as well. You know, I've been through that. And it's also part of like why a lot of my stuff isn't like theoretical. It's like talk about fighting white supremacy, like we in talking about fisticuffs or whatever else. It's not a concept, right? And I feel like the Yusef Hawkins film was another act of revolution, right? And it is tied into what I've been doing and tied into Weldon Irvine film. He's a revolutionary artist. And me being a revolutionary artist, Yusef Hawkins film, you know, a way to show not just the murder of this black boy, but to show how there was my best takeaway was that there was a coalition of organizations that didn't rock with each other, but they rock with each other just for this mission. And I think that's something that today we can learn from, is that the different organizations, you don't always got to tweet against somebody, but we have a common cause. Let's get together with it and let's bang like that. Also saw that there was the power of the march. I think that every revolutionary has to go through the marching phase. You can't skip the march. You gotta march.
Yeah.
I know what that feels like to march, right? Whether you want to leave it or not, right? They marched. I don't remember, but I think it was 23 times. But I know they marched in the snow. I ain't never gonna march in the snow. They marched in the snow, right? And so I just wanted, and I say we wanted to show just the tenacity of the people at that time. Very important to tell. And also there's a piece where, and this is all the reasons why I didn't want to get off of this film, right? I didn't want to just pass it off to Mutali and Javon, his partner. I wanted to be a part of it because it also was like, all right, this is something that my generation never healed from, right? This is something that they had to write in current events on the wickedest thing. Like, they should have said, like, all right, y'all, current events, but no murder, no molestation, no whatever. But it's like, your right was right in the thing. So we had to write these stories about all of this horrible stuff. Head and Nussbaum and Joel Weinstein, and he did some terrible to his daughter, and to the wife. We had Robert Chambers, Jennifer Levin, and the whole What's Rough Sex, and you had so much in the Howard Beats, like you mentioned before, all this wild stuff we writing as kids in 5th, 6th grade, and we're hypnotizing ourselves. So this is what the world is. This is what's acceptable in the world. This is what it is, right? And so I realized that, to see that these 16-year-old black children were attacked and one of them died just for being in the wrong neighborhood, wrong time. It's something that stayed with my whole generation. His name stayed with the generation, thanks to Chubb Rock, as well. Never forget Yusef Hawkins. So we saw that when people saw the film, they expressed like healing, and I never knew what really happened, and it was good to tell the real story because the media didn't tell the real story. The story about the whole love triangle thing was fake. Yeah, people still told that story because the Spike Lee Jungle Fever film, which if I remember was dedicated to Yusef, if I'm not mistaken. That whole scenario kind of reinforced the concept of, well, we don't want black people dating our girls, which is true. But Yusef died because we don't want no black people, right? And whether or not they were dating someone is irrelevant. It wasn't about, not really in the film, it wasn't about jealousy as much as it was about black people, I believe from Coney Island and Flatbush, being in the neighborhood, hanging out with Gina Feliciano, who was Italian and Puerto Rican.
Especially at that time with, crack epidemic. And,
right.
Yeah.
Right. And Bensonhurst is no soft neighborhood either. Like, everybody had they gangsters, and it was like these guys were coming with their motorcycles and everything. It's like, Gina, stop bringing these niggas out here.
Yeah.
But I have a birthday party. And you bring these niggas here, you're going to be sorry. So it wasn't, yes, she dated a black guy named Tiger, but it wasn't because she was dating a black guy. It just happens to be they didn't want that scene right there because the candy shop they was by was also, into other things and had other customers, and it's like, nah, it's hot over here. But all that to say, regardless, let's say they mistook Yusef and his friends for Gina's friends, they mistook them because they were black, right? So even if it was about Gina's boyfriend, it's like, well, black people, they're here. Why else would they be here? They're black. Gotta be them. So there's no way where it's not racist, but even to this day, people will say, even after seeing the film, well, nah, it's not racist. But he was shot because he was black. When this kid, I forget his name, said, the niggas are here, right? That's what he said. Niggas are here. They've been waiting for them all night. Niggas are here. I hope I can say the word and word on it.
Yeah, that's cool.
That's what they said. I ain't said it. You know, it's because they seen black skin and, you know, or brown skin, and that's all she wrote. And I think one of the important parts of the film is when we had Mondello's lawyer back then saying it's not race. We talking about race. But then we had him in the crib.
Yeah, man. He's like,
saying,
obviously it was race.
Yeah, yeah. So it's like, then you see like, yo, just so y'all know, people be saying things they don't believe, you know, when you're an attorney sometimes or you're on TV. So it was great. That was like a great part just to get him saying nah, but saying, come on, of course it was.
Yeah.
It was great. We were very nervous because that was the time they're talking about trauma porn and being very, very critical of stories about Black Death. And so we had to make sure that the community that mattered was behind the film.
Yeah.
We showed an earlier cut so they can tell us like how to make it so they can support it. And then we put it out there. HBO put it out there, excuse me, you know. And shout out to HBO Max. And people loved it.
Yeah.
And people loved it. It caused some problems for people that we didn't know it caused problems for on Hot 9 and everything. We didn't know. But what you gonna do, right?
Yeah.
Cause problems. Individual cause problems for on Hot 97. We tried to get them too. Couldn't find them. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, he was a part of it, you know.
Hey.
Oh, well.
Yeah, you know. Oh, well.
You're a professional of many things that, you know, a lot of them don't have a connection to each other. How do you manage all these passions? And do you have to prioritize one over the others?
I have to prioritize. My priorities do shift. Like, say, I'm working on a big film project now, but until I have to be hands-on like that, priority is the record store, right? Because I'm the employee of the record store, you could say.
Yeah.
Not employee, but I'm here for the most part, working at the store behind the register or whatever. So that takes priority. Period. Right. So this is the office. Sometimes this is like, if you need to see me, need to call me, just here. This is where you're gonna find me. I didn't realize that would be the case. I got remorse very early. It's like, damn, I got a job. I didn't think I was gonna have a job. Respectfully, you know, respect to people who have jobs. Like, you know, jobs is mad important. You used to say you don't got a job, you going to jail. But I guess that's true at a certain age, or not. My oldest was bugged out. Anyway, so I felt kind of remorse, like, dad, like I just stopped working for 18, 19 years, whatever. It's like, damn, man, got a job. I can't like leave how I want to leave, and that's not how. Damn, everybody know where I'm at whenever I'm there. I never like that. I'm post 4 days later. I didn't show my face for like a lot of years on the internet. Now it's like I'm here. People pop up. So it's very difficult for me, but also it's a challenge that I think I need because it boils down on safety.
Yeah.
Like, you're safe. And so working on feeling safe, right, is important. So being here and being vulnerable to whoever is part of my work. But film is number one for me.
Yeah.
So when a film does come, then we make arrangements here so I can go and do that because that is my bread and butter. And right now, that's my passion.
Yeah.
You know, right now.
Yeah.
Next year, like I am writing books, so you know, I don't know. I don't know. I don't even care to know what I'm gonna be on next year because as long as I'm alive, I'm gonna do whatever it is that my mind thinks of in the moment. I'm going to do it if I have the capital or the network to do it. I'm just gonna do it like while I'm here.
Yeah.
And like this idea for the record store, Ali had it for a couple years. and he let me, get down with the idea like maybe March, April, and then we got here in May. Like, that's how I like to operate. Like I don't like to have stuff on my mind for too long. I just need to just like boop, boop, we gonna do this. So because of that, I also have stopped doing a lot of different things, but I did them, and I feel like I'm fulfilling my time here, man. I'm doing it for everybody who ain't to do it, and a lot of them ain't to do it. So some of these dreams ain't even my dreams for real, honestly.
Yeah, I think that's a great place to wrap this up.
Cool.
Thank you, Victorious, man. Thank you, Victorious Costa, for being a part of this. And, I'm glad I met you. I met you, or just off the whim like that, while wrapping up before and after wrapping up another interview. So, thank you for being a part of Words Matter. You definitely embody the premise of this podcast.
Thank you.
And enjoy, the work that I've consumed of you thus far. And I hope everybody that watches this and listens to this interview definitely watches and even stops by to Legacy Vinyl Boutique and
please do
in Dumbo. So, man, thank you once again, and Words Matter.
Words matter.